And of course, time for our personal finance feature.
Our colleague Money Matches anchor Maya Fisher-French is joining us from our Cape Town studios to help us understand what a lump sum means as income. Maya, of course, if you've won it big like the lotto winner, but 145 million? Am I right in the jackpot?
Oh, yes.
You think, gee, you've made it, and some people think this lump sum is a savior of everything. But we tend to confuse it as income, and it's not.
Well, I think there's two things. I mean, 145 million is a lot of money if you look after it. But, you know, what we know from experience and from seeing other lotto winners is that within a year, 2 years even, that money's gone because you just think it's so much money that it'll never, ever run out. And we see that psychology quite often with windfalls. So if you're a young person and you perhaps get an inheritance, or one of the places I see it quite commonly is people taking early retirement. They say, oh, I've got a couple of million in my retirement fund. That'll definitely last me. And well, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to take that money and say, what does this mean as an income? So, you know, most people, I think, if they earned 145 million or even 1 million, would kind of think, oh, I don't have to work so hard. I can give up my job. I've got freedom, without understanding really the consequences of that. So, I mean, just as an example, so say you're 25 years old and you earn 20,000 Rand a month, and you're going to earn 20,000 Rand a month, adjusted for inflation, until your age of 55. If you actually had to look at that as a lump sum, that's 7.2 million Rand. So like a 25-year-old who wins, say, 7 million Rand or inherits 7 million Rand may think, wow, this is it, I'll never need to work again, without realizing that that just means 20,000 Rand a month till retirement. That doesn't even take you past retirement. So I think it's quite important that when you do get a lump sum, you actually understand, what does that mean for income for the rest of my life?
So what would be your advice, Maya? I mean, what would, say, for example, I was lucky enough to have even just $1 million. What would be the best thing to do with that lump sum to make it go a long way?
I think you've got to have a plan up front. You've got to say, right, you know, I don't know if you play this game. I play this game all the time. What if I won the lotto? And I think those are quite fun. Usually, there's a, you know, those games. Yeah, that's why we, you know. But I think you need to say, right, if I've got $1 million, even what is it that this can do for my life? Not about buying more stuff or buying the Ferrari, or that wouldn't even buy you a Ferrari. No. But, you know, what is it actually that this can do for me? What kind of changes can it bring? So have a plan in place. And I mean, for most people, it's actually debt. Most people I mean, I'd love to have my house paid off and, you know, the car's paid off and all of those things. So obviously, debt is usually the first place that one can look at.
Yeah, I think it's very important to get good advice. I mean, you mentioned retirement age 55. You think you've got $1 million, you've got money forever, but you need to get some good advice.
Absolutely, and as I said, you know, it's one of our biggest, probably the question I get most asked is, can I afford early retirement? And I can tell you there's one very simple answer, is no. Because I'm yet to find someone who can afford retirement at 65, let alone someone who can retire at 55, which is sort of your earliest retirement that you can take. And it's exactly that, it's seeing this lump sum. If you do a calculation, and I'm just using a basic annuity here, but say, for example, you have R1 million on retirement. It's only going to give you about 5,000 Rand per month in income. So, you know, you think, oh, R1 million, but actually, you know, we're going to live a long time, and, you know, we're probably going to live till 80, 90 years old. And that's only really going to equate to about 5,000 Rand in income. So it helps you to give some idea, saying, well, how much do I need to live in retirement? How much lump sum will I need to be able to convert into an income that is going to give me maybe the lifestyle that I would like to do? And I think the reality is most people sitting at 55, unless they've won the lotto or they've really been saving above what they would have for retirement, it's very unlikely they could actually take early retirement.
Yeah, Maya, thank you very much. I think one of the things we need to do in this country is like what they did in France a couple of years ago. Review the age for retirement.
What is their age?
Pension age for retirement. They increased it in France, I think, to about 65.
Definitely.
Yeah, they did that. What do you think, Maya?
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, I keep saying, in fact, I did an article a couple of weeks ago in City Press that said a wake-up call for millennials. And the wake-up call is, if you're sitting here 30 years old now, there's very little likelihood that you're going to be able to afford to retire at 60, even 65. And that's not necessarily because you haven't saved, but by the way, millennials haven't saved. We're seeing a massive reduction in pension funds for younger people. But the main point is that we're going to live till 90 or 100. I think Sanlam's running this campaign, they're living till 200, which terrifies me. I hope I'm not going to land up in that statistic. But how realistic is retirement? And I think really the way we need to be looking at these things now is to say, what can I do for career longevity? What can I do that I can keep working in a way that will still earn me an income till I'm 70, maybe 75? Because two things are going to happen. One, you're going to live longer, and how long you're going to end up possibly living in retirement for longer than you actually worked, which is not really feasible. And also your brain is active still. You know, we are healthier. The 60-year-old today is not the 60-year-old of 30 years ago. So we're going to get bored quite quickly. So this is a great opportunity, I believe, actually, is to look at second careers, to look at ways of saying, how do I develop skills that I enjoy doing, something that I really want to do for the rest of my life, and sort of work on that as a retirement strategy rather than trying to collect this lump sum that's going to allow you to sort of sit on a chair and stare out